Aloha, how's it? What did you do over the weekend? I'm curious to know. What we've been working on is I have a passion project and it's called We Be Vanning, just like it sounds. And we have a Kickstarter launching this weekend. So basically, my husband and I are working on converting a Ford Transit F-350, I think it is, uh, van into an adventure van for people to take tours on the North Shore of Oahu, where we live. So it is a blast, but there's so much to do. And we just posted day 7. So if you're really curious, you like van conversions, you like camper vans, you want to see Hawaii stuff, check us out. We're on the Instagrams at We Be Banning if you want to find out more and hear about our Kickstarter. But that's not why we're here. It is Mondays with Mindy, and this is the weekly show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, where I talk all about things related to LinkedIn. So, pipeline, promotion, profiles, what I call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. So, if you have questions about LinkedIn and I'm talking here, you can go ahead and comment below. That's fine. If I see them during the broadcast, I'll respond at the end. If not, I will respond later. So, if you're watching the replay, hi. Put your comments there. I will see them. I will respond. So I'm excited to engage with you today on the live. I'm also looking to bring on some guests to the show periodically. So if you have a good person in mind or you want to nominate yourself, tag that person below as well. They don't have to be LinkedIn or marketing experts. I'm just looking for good people doing good business in the B2B space. And if you haven't heard it yet, I'm all about the good people, good business, which is something you're going to hear over and over again on this show. So let's get to today's topic. How big should your LinkedIn network be? This can be really tricky because bigger is not always better when it comes to your LinkedIn network. Unlike a lot of other platforms where you really want to get more followers, more people engaged. So, is there a magic number of connections you need to grow your business or leverage your impact on LinkedIn? Most of my fellow LinkedIn experts will advise you to grow your network as big as possible if you want to be seen as a thought leader, especially. So, the thing is, what good is a ginormous LinkedIn network if you're not using it effectively? So, here's what I've seen happen to a number of my clients and students who've gotten a bit, I would call it too zealous on their LinkedIn networking strategy. So what happens is they get connected to people who just want to sell them something. That's really annoying because then you get a bunch of spammy requests. And then when they start to nurture relationships on LinkedIn, they don't know where to start. Like line 4,373 on that exported connections list. Like, where do you start when you have a huge network and you're trying to mine it for prospecting purposes or nurturing business relationships? Or their network just feels like a hodgepodge of people from the past and they're no longer relevant to their current career or their business objectives. And oftentimes, their engagement on LinkedIn posts can be really, really low because the people in their network don't really care about their topic. Like they're blast from the past, or they just wanted to connect because they're open networkers. And you can discover that all of those connections are not going to buy from you. They're not going to do business with you. They're not your perfect prospects or collaborators or business colleagues that you want in your network. All right. So this sounds like a sad situation, right? So let's figure out how to get your LinkedIn network dialed in. When you get this just right, your potential superfans, your industry peers, your perfect prospects, they'll all start to gravitate towards you and pay more attention to what you post on LinkedIn. So I call this like the secret that nobody tells you when they give you like their top 5 tips to get more engagement on your LinkedIn posts. It really comes down to who's in your LinkedIn network. And we're going to talk about that today. And aloha for those who don't know me, if you're watching the replay, if you're watching this live, my name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a signature pipeline building program called LinkedIn for Business, which is for B2B entrepreneurs, subject matter experts, authors, and savvy salespeople. And I help business leaders and experts like you build your LinkedIn networks, scale your impact, and fill your sales pipelines with perfect prospects. That part is always hard to say. In this live, we are going to talk about why growing your network too big can dilute your overall engagement levels and prevent you from connecting one to one with the people who matter most. Plus, 5 benchmarks for network numbers to shoot for if you're just getting started or trying to get a bit more strategic with your network. I want us to think about stopping to believe the myth that the bigger is always better on LinkedIn myth. Okay, that came out kind of weird. Let's stop believing the myth that bigger is always better. All right, so have you heard of Dunbar's number? I know a lot of us have, and basically it's that number that floats around the interwebs that basically gives you a bunch of scientific reasons why there's a limit to the number of people we can interact closely with socially. So basically, there's a number, it's about 150 to 250, somewhere in there. And that's about how many people we can really interact with and feel close to. So this is the strength of the connection or attention we can give to that person before the relationship starts to dissipate. So these are the people that you would think about that would drop everything that they're doing to hop on a Zoom call for coffee with you or fit you into their schedule. These are those people. I feel that we can apply a similar principle to our LinkedIn networks. Maybe not exactly the same. Like, I think we can have more than 250 people in our LinkedIn networks. But LinkedIn is really not Instagram, it's not Twitter, it's not Facebook, it's not even Clubhouse. So I like to view my own LinkedIn network as a new and improved digital version of the Rolodex. So you've probably heard that term before, and you may have heard other experts that talk about your Rolodex, who's in your Rolodex. I like to think about my LinkedIn network in these terms. It's really special to me. It's unique to me. I don't like to share it with other people. I don't like to put my connections out for everyone to see because mine is filled with those business peers, those colleagues, friends, professionals, fans, clients, contractors, and my perfect prospects. Now, I could just try to add more to this list, but I have limited time and I really want to only focus on the people whom I can help the most, those who I enjoy following professionally for any number of reasons, and people who are aligned with where my business focus is right now. So, to me, bigger for the sake of more is not the game on LinkedIn. This is not Instagram. This is not the other social channels. We are not trying to just get a bigger audience. So, when on LinkedIn, stop trying to play the other social games. So, what is the game on LinkedIn? As I mentioned before, it's all about being strategic. So imagine that you're trying to find the perfect designer for your book cover or a developer to help you create that next big app idea that you have. Where would you look first? Think about it for a moment. If it's not your LinkedIn network, that means it could probably use some work. It means you might not have the right amount of people, the right types of people in your network. So many people just hop onto a platform like Fiverr or Upwork to find complete strangers and cross their fingers that those reviews live up to the customer experience that they end up having. But when your LinkedIn network is jam packed with good people doing good business, you never need to look elsewhere. So, a great LinkedIn network has the right balance of people for your business. And that's what I like to think about. What's that balance feel like? You don't want it all filled with prospects, not all filled with contractors. It needs to be the right balance for your business. And you don't need to measure this balance at all times. It's more of a mindset thing and how to approach inviting new people to your network or accepting connection invitations from others. So, moving forward, whenever you're wondering whom to add to your LinkedIn network, ask yourself if this person looks like they benefit from connecting with you and if you could benefit from connecting with them. That's really the secret question. And I know it sounds really simple, but being mindful of this, whether you're sifting through dozens of inbound connections per day or you're starting to reach out to others to build your network, the connection should be obviously mutually beneficial. So it should be obvious. Got it? All right. So I said I'd share my 5 favorite benchmarks for building a strategic network with you. And this is one of my favorite parts of this talk today. So keep in mind that you don't need to work your way through all of the 5. Some of you will find a sweet spot for yourself that feels just right, and you can stop there. So the goal is not to go from 1 to level 5. It's really to find what is working for your business and stay at that sweet spot. Again, don't feel that you need to go beyond the sweet spot unless you have a strategic business objective in place first. Got it? All right. So, level number 1 is the newbie. We've all been there. That feeling when you just joined LinkedIn and you have no connections and you're trying to figure out how do you get to that first 100 connections. So if you're just getting started, that's okay. These first 100 should be relatively easy to get by asking people who you already know. So I recommend looking in your business email account for fellow professionals whom you already know that you could get connected with that would accept your connection right away. They wouldn't worry that you have very few connections. So look for friendlies here. Another idea is to join some industry groups on Facebook or LinkedIn and start interacting with the group members. Then you can reach out to fellow members to ask them to connect on LinkedIn. But whatever you do, please don't spam to get these connections. Make sure that your connection request is well thought out and that you do it in a way that feels very human. You don't want to come across like a bot. Okay. So go broad at the beginning, but make sure that these people deserve a spot in your network. And then once you get those first 100, the others will start to come a bit more easily. So the hardest part on LinkedIn is getting to those first 100. And to give you a leg up in this department, make sure you have a decent looking LinkedIn profile. And I will share that with you at the end. I have a really cool mini training that can help you start looking good on LinkedIn, no matter how many connections you have. So stay tuned. All right, so number two is what I call the magic 500. And this is what a lot of people are working towards at the beginning. This is where you're trying to get to your first 500 connections. You're going to start branching out. You might be connecting with people who you don't know very well yet. And if you want to build a really healthy balance of types of people in your LinkedIn network, start thinking about the professionals you'd like to collaborate with. Who might be an ally to your business or make for a great contractor? I wouldn't recommend going after any prospects yet until you're at least above that 500. So the focus here is growing your network with like-minded people and professionals in your industry, maybe some outside your industry when it makes sense. And if you need some ideas on the types of connection requests to send, I will also put a link below after the live so you can check out some ideas on what to send in those connection requests, especially at that level. All right, so let's get to number three. This is probably my favorite. I'm going to take a drink. So, this is the LinkedIn for Business sweet spot. I love this range for most people. This is between 1,000 to 3,000 connections. So you have a pretty decent base, but you are trying to really be strategic and thoughtful about the people in here. So you should be able to manage this size network and use LinkedIn very effectively with this number of connections. It's not too many, it's not too few. There should be the right balance of people in here if you've been thoughtful about who you've been accepting connection requests from up to this point. And I say many of us don't even need to go beyond this network number if these are chosen strategically and aligned with your business. That is the key. Okay. So think about strategic and aligned. Your LinkedIn engagement rate will likely be higher when you're in this range than some others in the other categories. Why? Because these connections are most likely very much aligned with your business objectives and what you're sharing on LinkedIn. So it's kind of like this tight group of people that are excited about what you're doing. Think of it like Seth Godin's tribes, where he said, get to those 1,000 people that are really stoked about what you're doing and reach out to them. So if you keep your network of connections on the smaller end, you'll pretty much know just about everyone in your network by their name and areas of expertise. You're also in the right range to start reaching out to your perfect prospects at this level and get into some of those one to one conversations. So if you just work up to level three, you're doing amazing and you can sustain a great business at this level and stay in touch with just about everybody. All right, so for those of you who want to go beyond that, let's talk about thought leaders. So this is the 3,000 to 10,000 connections range. This is currently my range at the moment. So once you get above 3,000 people in your network, you're likely feeling pretty confident on LinkedIn and how to use the platform to reach the people who matter to your career, to your business. And if you took a thoughtful approach to building up to this level, you're probably going to have multiple someones, I call them, in every single category for your business. You'll probably have a good mix of colleagues, friends, peers, prospects, clients. Now, the problem that can happen here is when you get to this number artificially or prematurely by spamming a bunch of people just to get your numbers up. It's not going to serve you well at this level, I promise you. It's better to go slow and steady. So, you likely will not get the engagement you were hoping for, and it may be tougher to identify perfect prospects in your network if you took that approach to getting to this number. But that's okay. You can still recover, even if most of these people are not ideal for you. So, you don't need to start removing connections unless you really want to go to all that trouble. I will probably cover that in a future live. But in a perfect world, if you have a great network at this level, you can sustain most small to medium sized B2B businesses with a solid pipeline of prospects and supportive collaborators. So, this is a really nice sweet spot for like the small to medium sized businesses. And if you really want to be more engaged and active on LinkedIn. So, this is a good number to shoot for. All right. So, we are to number 5, which is influencer level. This is 10,000 plus connections. So, if you've gone to this level, congrats. You've reached the influencer level, and many influencers are actually far above this range. Some are in the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. But I think this 10K number is ideal if you're striving to be considered influential or the buzzword thought leader in your niche. So, getting above 10,000 LinkedIn connections likely means you have a lot of people in your network whom you don't plan to keep in close contact with over time. That's okay. It's being influential is the objective here, then that's good. You should have people in there that are just like raving fans, followers. And many authors I've worked with like to get above 10K before they launch a book or relaunch a book because this gives them more credibility and the potential to engage with their audience, hopefully turning them into readers, right? So at this level, you may also have a very large number of perfect prospects if you've done this right, whom you're already connected with on LinkedIn. And this gives you the perfect opportunity to reach out to them one to one to build that business relationship. As long as you haven't wasted that message on a spammy one. So remember, quality over quantity, and do this over time. So there you have it. All 5 benchmarks for LinkedIn network size and where you might want to grow into as you focus more on LinkedIn for business. So I want you to go look at your LinkedIn network right now and give it some thought. Are you happy with your current network? Is there a need to grow it any bigger? Do you like the size where it is now? Should you swap out some of the connections for those who are better aligned? These are questions to start thinking about. You don't have to take action right this minute, but just start paying attention. That's my challenge to you this week. And if you're struggling to figure out what to do next, that's okay. Post a question below or just shoot me a direct message to discuss if you want to take this a little bit deeper. All right, so I talked about your LinkedIn profile and how important that is to growing your network. So before you start aggressively growing your LinkedIn network, you better give your LinkedIn profile a quick checkup. And I literally just published a free 3 part mini training called How to Reboot Your LinkedIn Profile to Grow Your Online Business. And it is jam packed with templates, examples, a step by step approach to optimize your headline, like we talked about last week on the show. The 2 most important parts of your about section, which is especially helpful for building a strong network. I'll just give you that, along with what to do with your experience sections, especially if they're like all over the place, like most of us. So if you want to get instant access, just go to that link. You see it going across the screen, mindyrossler.com/LinkedIn reboot. That'll take you right there. Just drop your name and email in there, and I'll send it right over to you. Okay, so I will see you next week on Mondays with Mindy, and we are going to be talking about how to go about measuring your ROI, so your return on investment on LinkedIn, without getting too far in the weeds. This is a question I get asked all the time. So, how do you know if LinkedIn is the right channel for you to invest your resources? We'll dive into it next week. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below, and my inbox is open if you want to message me directly. I will see you next week. Have a good one.